Hi friends, I'm August, I am reading. This is Winston, who just woke up from a nap, so we're gonna see how much talking I can actually do without him getting incredibly jealous. And before he starts yodeling at me, I hope you all are doing really well. Thank you so incredibly much for being here. I'm gonna try and play with him while chatting with you all. So if you see him out of your periphery, we're all good, you know? Just came back from a very cold and very dreary walk. Okay, the pig has been subdued. I have my laptop here because I am currently reading, I picked this one up yesterday, Cosmos. This is by a Polish author, and I actually wanted to look up how to pronounce this first name. Off the top of my head, I don't recall if I've ever read a Polish book before.
Witold.
It is Witold. Okay, Witold Gombrowicz. So this was originally published in 1967. It was the winner of the International Prize for Literature. This is so up my alley, and my fingers are crossed because I have read, I feel like, quite a few books already this year in 2026 where I have felt so ardently confident that a certain book will be like exactly my type to a T, and it starts out strong and then it just really peters out, losing interest, doesn't really follow through on its quirkiness or its uniqueness, or my interest really dwindles. So I really hope that this will kind of cure what's been happening for my reading experience lately. So far, I can already say this writing style is not for everyone. This book classifies itself as a metaphysical thriller, and the writing style is a lot of commas, a lot of run-on sentences, not even necessarily stream of consciousness. It's more of just like listing a lot of things, like this opening sentence. Sweat, Fuchs is walking, I'm behind him, pant legs, heels, sand, we're plodding on, ruts, clods of dirt, glassy pebbles flashing, the glare, the heat humming, quivering, everything is black in the sunlight. Cottages, fences, fields, woods, the road. This march, from where, what for, a lot could be said. Actually, I was worn out by my father and mother, by my family in general. I wanted to prepare for at least one of my exams and also to breathe and change, break loose, spend some time someplace far away. That's one sentence. That's the writing style. It's a little hyperventilate-y. It just feels very anxious and quick and a little spasmodic, but I really enjoy it. I think it's really, really interesting. So where we're at right now is we have an unnamed male protagonist. I think he's unnamed. I can't recall actually. He runs into an acquaintance of his named Fuchs. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Fuchs.
Fuchs. F-U-K-S, okay? Fuchs. So he runs into a gentleman that he knows named Fuchs. They're all just kind of like walking around it seems like the Polish countryside. It is hot, it's summer. They're on vacation. They happen to be on vacation together, and Fuchs is like, I know a place we can go. It's like a boarding house. I'm guessing it's kind of like a bed and breakfast situation. And they're walking, and it feels like they're lost. They go into the woods and they find a bird, a sparrow, that's been hanged, like by a noose, like hanging in the tree above them, and they're both mesmerized by this and unsettled, and there's a lot of trepidation and spookiness. It just feels tense in describing this because it's just odd, but it's not necessarily horrifying. So they end up staying at a house close by to that forest and that sparrow. Then we're introduced to a cast of characters who live or work at this bed and breakfast. Our protagonist has a crush on a young woman who's there, but then her husband shows up, and it seems like this woman was in an accident of some kind, so her face and especially her mouth is a little different, and he keeps describing it as like her slippery lip, which is like, I live for these scenes though where something is just slightly off. You know, any of my friends who came over from my Lynchian video, this is exactly what it feels like. This feels so Lynchian to me, where something is just slightly off. There's nothing outright horrifying or scary or diabolical that's happening. It really is just like this man is obsessed with this woman's lip, like her upper lip. And it's long scenes of them like at the dinner table, and we're kind of fading in and out of different people's conversations. We're fading in and out of like weird water stains on the ceiling, or just laying around this like really, really hot summer day in this house, and I really enjoy it. So far, I am 30 pages in. I'm not exactly sure where it's going. I think we're just gonna continue on this strange internal dialogue spiral that might turn into that psychological thriller element. We'll see. I just really, really enjoy books like this. So I feel like I might have to come out with a video soon, maybe after this, about books that have this essence where it's people are maybe staying at a certain place. Normally it is like an Eastern European like chalet or a hotel, and there's just like weird happenings. I feel like that's such a specific atmosphere, but one that I absolutely love and enjoy. So that's what I'm currently reading. Just started this yesterday. Then I went to the library today and I got to pick up a few books that I had on hold. One is this absolute massive tome. This is huge. This is so heavy. This is, oh my gosh, a big picture book of Frank Hurley's photographs from The Endurance. I just finished listening to Caroline Alexander's biography of The Endurance and cried my eyes out many times. I can't tell you how many times. It's so rare for me to have like a celebrity crush, but one of my celebrity crushes is absolutely Ernest Shackleton. I'm sorry. I love The Endurance. Ships freak me out, shipwrecks freak me out, but The Endurance in Antarctica and the fact that they were smart enough to like capitalize on the part of funding for their journey was bringing a professional photographer on board with them. So this is a photo book of all of Frank Hurley, the photographer's photographs of their time when they were stuck on the Endurance. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to look at all these photos. I'm already flipping through. I shouldn't flip through. I should not flip through. I need to look at it all in chronological order. So I'm so excited. This won't necessarily be reading. I feel like I'm pretty well versed in the Endurance information at the moment, but we'll see. I mainly just wanted to look at the photographs in a physical format and not on my phone. I just really wanted to glue my eyes to, oh, this is the picture at the very end. Oh, I have something I want to say about it. The very end of Caroline Alexander's biography is about this image. The controversy that happened with this image. That last like line in the book got me. I was crying so hard. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. My dad visited me this weekend, which was so nice. If some of you have been here for a while, Cozy Rosy Dad was here. And of course I had to take him to some of my favorite little bookshops and artist markets and art museums. And it was just such a wonderful time. It was so great. So that's what the intro to this video was all. Little montages of our experiences. We love to maunder and it's really great. So that was delightful. And yes, I've already basically got all my work done for the day already. So I think I'm actually gonna get into some cozy clothes. I think I'm going to just hop into some fun art work stuff. I'm also listening to a great audiobook at the moment. So I want to do all of it. So just thank you so much for being here, friends. I'm gonna get this hat off my head now. Try to tame my hair. All right, I hope you're all doing really well. I'll check in with you very soon. I treated myself to a little iced matcha this morning. I had to run a few errands, drop off some film for development. Oh no, my heat just kicked on. I was like, wow, this is great. Like, it's been warm today. Sorry if you hear any background noise, my heat literally just kicked on. I swear it's only on when I start filming. It's been incredibly foggy and gloomy and rainy and exceptionally moody and atmospheric here, and I think that really fits the aesthetic of what this book feels like, this murkiness, this vagueness. But today hit over 60 degrees and I'm so excited about that, so I think I'm gonna go have some lunch and go for a little walk and pretend it's spring. Oh wow, I have so many thoughts already, but also not enough thoughts. I am currently 61 pages in. How one of the characters speaks is so funny. I am laughing out loud while reading this because it's so quirky. This author really just paints such a vivid picture of these oddball kind of characters, and like how there's always something behind something. So he just keeps narrating, like, behind the chair is the clock, behind the clock is the wall, behind the wall is the forest, and in the forest is the sparrow. And then him and Fuchs, because it's just this like long, languid days, scorching hot summers, there's nothing to do, they're just laying around their bedroom, they end up believing in this strange conspiracy theory that someone wants them to know something. And they are now transposing all of this meaning on this sparrow. They're also transposing a lot of meaning onto this woman's upper lip. And they're like, there must be a reason for this. Like, there's a deeper meaning. Someone wants us to know something. So they're following all of these signs. Like, there's like a water stain on the ceiling that they believe is an arrow. So now they're like in the garden figuring out where the arrow goes, like all the way out into like the woods and where it leads. And then they end up finding something else that they're like, oh, that's weird. That ties in with the sparrow. So we're on this like made up scavenger hunt, and also this beautiful philosophical meditation on like what even is meaning. Like, we put our own meaning to things, and our protagonist knows that, like, who would do this? Who would make arrows on the ceiling and be so intentional for us to find, like, oh, isn't it wild that they're like, over here there are 3 pebbles, and then there's also 3 blades of grass, and then there's also like 3 birds in the sky right now, and there's also 3 trees, and they all make a triangle. It's like, once you start noticing patterns, they're everywhere anyway. So it's this wonderful exploration of like, what happens if you just fall into it? Like, just accept that there are these strange signs and symbols and patterns everywhere. What would it be like to actually believe that there's a message in them? If you have nothing else to do and it's a hot summer and you are just lounging around, like, why not follow these trails? And so him and Fuchs are like fully invested in this theory that there's something happening and they need to know something. They need to figure out who's doing this. So they're like breaking into other people's rooms. It is so fun and funny and deep and thoughtful and thought-provoking. It is all of those things at once, which is exactly what I look for in a book, and it's just perfect, and I'm loving it. What this book feels like to me, I don't know if anyone ever downloaded Randonautica. If you're not familiar with this app, I think it's probably still around, I'm not sure, and it'll give you a random coordinate to go to, a random latitude and longitude, and you would go to that place, and then there you would supposedly find what you were looking for. But I remember during COVID, my sister and I, you know, it was summer, we didn't really know what else to do, so we're like, let's try randonauting. These coordinates took us to this, like, not fully abandoned, there were still cars outside of it, but it was like a factory or a plant of some kind, but we had no idea what they made. There were no signage, we couldn't figure out what company it actually was, and we just were walking around the property. We saw absolutely no one. We were trying to find, like, meaning. We were trying to find things that would be a sign, like, why were we sent here? I actually have it in my notes app, July 6, 2020. And these were the things that I found. A crow with a broken wing, which feels so ominous with this cover. Redwood perfume bottle, empty. Mushrooms. Then I found opal stones buried in dry mud. So strange. And it's just eerie. Like, seeing that list and finding it again was so unsettling, and it's exactly what this book feels like. You're sent out to a place where you feel like there has to be meaning, or maybe there's nothing else to do but try to find meaning, make sense of something that doesn't make sense. I love it. I love that concept. I could fall down this rabbit hole all day long of like, what what is meaning and what is intention, and why do we need meaning? Why do we need purpose? Why do we feel like we can find meaning in anything? I think meaning is one of the most important things in the world. It's monetary value, it's mathematics, it's religion, it's philosophy, it's all of these things. There's meaning behind it. There's meaning behind numbers and letters and words and sentences and structure, and we would be so lost without meaning. And I think this book is just fabulous for a foggy, humid day where it's starting to feel like spring, but the trees are so barren. It's still so dark. It's been raining. There have been thunderstorms. I am hoping I can finish this book this weekend, because in a few days I'm actually going to be traveling out to Las Vegas, which I'm very excited about, and I know what book I'm going to bring with me. So my goal is I want to finish Cosmos before I go on my trip, so that way I can have a new book. I just love reading a new book when you start a trip. I think that's so memorable to me. I love it. Cracking that spine open on a flight. Ooh, so good. Cracking that spine open on a flight. Ooh, so good. Totally forgot that last night the clock sprung forward an hour. The sun isn't gonna set until like 8 p.m. and it's super sunny, so we're gonna go see if our favorite vegan ice cream place is open. Fingers are crossed. Oh. Well, oh man, does this work? It's a little tall. Hi friends. So just a mere moment ago, I finished reading Cosmos. My intention was to give you an update before I finished it, but alas, the past few days have been beautifully sunny, but also challenging. I've been wanting to be outside, but I've also been, let's just be honest, like crying profusely over the state of the world. So it's a mixed bag. It's spring is here and things are happening. Birds are out. Oh my gosh, I saw my first 2 robins, but also it's just like this overwhelming feeling of like hopelessness and despair. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that feeling. There's so many things that are just like not right now. So yeah, the past few days have just been mentally really hard. But then I'm like sitting outside. I've been like crying for most of the days, just over things that I don't really feel like I can even control right now. It's just where the trajectory of humanity is going. We're contributing where we can, helping where we can. I urge you to do the same if you can, if you have the resources, but also managing to take care of ourselves. And reading this book, okay. I don't even want to talk about it. I feel like I don't have the words. This is so fresh. I just closed the cover of this book. I feel like I look so small in this. Oh my God, I feel like this is so goofy. What a goofy perspective. Let me see if I can bring you down. I don't think I can talk about this. Let's fix this somehow. Well, there we go. When in doubt, just stack a bunch of books as a tripod. So again, it was my intention to give an update midway through my reading experience with this. My initial reaction is disappointment. I hate to say that. It could be a me problem, where something isn't holding my attention as much as it did at the beginning. The novelty has maybe worn off. The writing style in this is supposed to be this almost like vomit-inducing revolving door experience. The same words are repeated over and over, the same motifs, the same themes over and over and over and over and over and over again ad nauseum. This just didn't really go where I wanted it to, and for something that's so surreal and so unique and different, it's transient. Like it's this like what I perceived the ending to be just didn't even exist, but where it did end up going lost me. There were a few times where we kind of picked up momentum, we're bending around a corner on a path, and I'm like, woohoo, like a roller coaster, like let's go, we're doing kooky things and weird things are happening, and then it just kind of like plateaus, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, we're turning a corner, we're kind of gaining momentum, we're getting speed, like here we go, hang on, this is when it's gonna get really weird, and it just wouldn't, and then it would just start coasting again. So bravo if that was the intention, but also this is where I always have an issue with how books are described, including blurbs. Like describing this book as a thriller, it's a stretch. And I feel like a lot of books that I've been picking up lately are so incredibly misleading, it's not even funny. Oh, I just have such a hard time when books feel like they're trying to steer me in a certain direction. And I know they're just trying to be helpful, trying to tell you what to expect, but I'm just being set up for an expectation that I didn't really even want to have. I didn't want an expectation. I just don't even think that this is how I would describe this book. I think the only thing that works here is that this novel is full of absurdist dialogue. Yes, that was my favorite part of the book, was the absurdist dialogue. And then by turns banal and cosmic imagery creates a deeply affecting picture of psychological limbo. Amen. Just put... My critique is just put that. Saying that it's narrated in the style of a detective novel and that it's at a Polish resort, I'm like, this is like a mom and pop bed and breakfast, and what detective speaks like this? This is the most confusing, vague writing style, so I don't know where the detective portion got into this. But alas, I can't change the cover, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And they go on saying like, from the bizarre discovery of a hanged sparrow to a bacchanalian mountain excursion. That wasn't what happened. The mountain excursion was this strange dialogue between the man who owns I want to say just like Lodge, what was it? The man who owns the boarding house, Leon. It's an interesting dialogue between our protagonist and Leon, and it is so funny. But then it just gets icky, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I did not think that this whole book would now be about, oh, I don't want to spoil things, but I just didn't think that this book is like where that would go. We left a lot of things hanging. Pun intended if you've read this. The ending was so fitting, yet also disappointing. I think you can have an ending that like you kind of shrug at, like, yeah, I don't blame you. I don't know any other way to end this book. I couldn't have thought of anything better, but also I wanted something better. I think that's how I can describe this book. There were wonderful lines. I did annotate a few really standout lines in here, and then maybe I can share a funny dialogue portion with you because I thought that was the shining star of this novel. Because there's such long sentences, this is just a portion of a sentence. It said, "It was all suffused with the night, as if steeped in yesterday, murky." I love that. The night was steeped in yesterday. Oh, I love that visual. I love that. From a myriad of undifferentiated facts, I extract the configuration of the future. But how can one describe something except ex post? Can nothing be ever truly expressed, rendered in its anonymous becoming? Can no one ever render the babbling of the nascent moment? How is it that, born out of chaos, we can never encounter it again? No sooner do we look than order and form are born under our very eyes. I love that. I love that so much. Can't snap with this hand. There we go. I really related to this one. After yesterday's excesses, an inner austerity had taken a hold of me. Asceticism, a distaste for quirkiness. There's Winston. Shortly after my update, it got kooky. Our protagonist did something so vile, so heinous, so awful. So, it was so disturbing and I was angry, but the way it was written was like, oh, no big deal, nonchalant. That just happened. I think that really flipped the script for me. It made me all of a sudden not like our protagonist. It made me wary and distrusting. Leon, he's been my favorite character from the get-go, just with his goofy dialogue. I think it's really, really funny and really well written to create such a quirky character with such a bouncy, unbelievable, but also credible at the same time kind of cadence. I love how that character is written. Then yeah, at the end of the book, I start to hate Leon because I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? But it really is about perception. You know, as a reader, we're perceiving how we want to interpret this, as well as our protagonist is perceiving certain characters as well. We're in a hamster wheel. We're just going over and over and over and over these same words. Something as small as like clumps of dirt, sticks, lips, salt, clumps of dirt, lips, sticks, salt, like over and over and over. It is so much. I'm curious to see if it lingers with me and if I think about it, but at the moment, I'm just kind of like, I'm glad that's done. That got tedious just through its own tediousness and its intentional tediousness with the repetitive words and actions, and this main character who seems a little mischievous. Here's a dialogue passage between Leon and our protagonist. So here's Leon. He's just like a goofy guy. To set the scene, he's bald, he wears a pince-nez. He's just always calling his wife like kitty poo, and he adds E's and O's to the end of everything. He's always making up words. He goes, granted, I have in my nervous system a kind of celebrating tension. Tum tupuli, narambuli. It's festive, delightfully celebratory, festively delightful. Hey ho, it's a festivity, a festivity, a festivity. Haven't you, sir, my dearie little sir, noticed anything?
What?
He pointed his finger at a little flower in his buttonhole. Please incline your gracious little nose towards me and take a whiff.
Sniff him?
This alarmed me more than it probably should have.
Why?
I asked. I'm delicately perfumed. I love Leon, even though he gets so like creepy old man at the end. Anyway. I don't know what this was. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. I think this book is just going to make me think of clumps of dirt and spit and sticks. I'll have to update you if I continue to think about this one. I hope you enjoy my ramblings. I hope a little bit of sass can brighten your day, because this was so goofy, and it wasn't bad. It was so uniquely its own thing. Mouths on mouths, walls on walls. sticks on sticks. It was strange. So if anyone ends up picking this up, like, I would be so curious to talk about this more and to hear someone else's perspective on it. I really need to have dinner. I just kind of launched into this. I am leaving for my trip tomorrow. So I've had such a busy day of like getting a lot of stuff done, running errands, all that fun stuff. I still need to pack. I need to do laundry. I need to have dinner. But I thought I might not finish this tonight, and we'll see if I even start this. I feel like I need a palate cleanser, but I think I'm gonna jump into Princess Jellyfish tonight. This is like a whopping almost 400-page manga, and I'm very excited for it. I have some more film I need to finish scanning, and then kind of go from there. Maybe wrap up a few more work projects before my trip, and then I will talk to you about this after I start it. But I think being cozy tonight and reading fun manga, this would be perfect. After my whack-ass Polish surrealist 1960s piece. Wow. So many thoughts and also so little thoughts at the same time. So I'm gonna stop myself now. Oh no. Hello friends. I have my little Bugs Bunny vintage mug here, so cute. Okay, I have to be real. It's been a while since I've filmed an update. It's been over a week now, and I am back from my trip. I've been back to work. I have had so many nights of insomnia. I'm really run down, so if my voice sounds like I'm about to get sick, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it's just pure exhaustion. I have a separate vlog for my trip. I'm in the middle of like 3 different vlogs and videos, but I wanted to wrap this one up because I've had time to actually stew in my thoughts on Cosmos, and I wanted to be a little bit more articulate. Last I updated you all, I was quite sassy. Sassy because I was at the height of feeling disappointment for something that on paper, this book was supposed to be everything. I absolutely love strange, surreal, nebulous, uncategorizable novels. I love literature that's been translated into English. I love the 1960s. I love European countrysides. I love descriptions of summer and heat. And I love unreliable narrators and maybe not necessarily like psychosis, but this kind of delirium. I love this. I love explorations of different thought patterns and finding meaning. Like I explained quite a bit about this feeling like an exploration of meaning. And what I've come to realize now that it's been a week since I've read this is that I haven't thought about it at all. Woof. I've seen a stick. It didn't make me think of Cosmos. When I've seen mud, I haven't thought of Cosmos. So that's quite unfortunate. I think my expectation with this definitely came with how it was described. I think sometimes with blurbs and plot descriptions on books, it does, like I was trying to pontificate on my last update, is that sometimes, you know, when you really condense a plot down to the physical acts, rather than realizing that this book is primarily about its own writing style. It's primarily about its own thought, and it's not about things that are physically happening in the story. And that's where when we start to condense these descriptions, that it just doesn't feel accurate at all. And I understand that you know, in this book, if you go from point A to point B, yes, it is a man who finds a sparrow hanging and stays on vacation at a family-run lodge. But that's not what the book is about. You know, I think that putting that aside with my literal thinking and spending more time marinating on this subject, I get it. I understand what this book is trying to do, and I understand why at the time it was published it was well revered, although since this I haven't ever heard anyone talk about this book. It hardly has any ratings or reviews on Goodreads either. I understand it. I understand why this won the International Prize for Literature. It is incredibly well done in its uniqueness, in its thought-provoking writing style, in its ability to let us enter a person's mind who has nothing else to do except for hyperfixate on certain things. One of the last lines I annotated in here I think perfectly encapsulates what this book feels like and how I would personally describe the book. The eyes of boredom, old buddy, are bigger than those of fear. When you're bored, God only knows what you might imagine. What you create out of boredom can lead to feelings of anxiety and panic and fear and paranoia, and how all of that is come just because you have idle hands. But I understand what this author was doing. There's some beautiful imagery that I could imagine happening in like a 1960s surrealist film on like the old Kodak, like Kodachrome films, of like overlapping scenes of people talking or mouths on mouths or sticks on sticks, and how everything parallels each other and everything mirrors each other, and also there's always something behind another something, another something. Can you just imagine that in like 60s style of filmmaking when things were avant-garde and cool? I've tried watching newer films lately and it's just god awful. Anyway, this is still very rambly, but I understand. I by no means think this is a bad book at all, and I need to reiterate that this is a wonderful book. It's a great book. It is incredibly well written. It deserves a lot of praise and a lot more attention. It just didn't work for me, which is so wild because if you put everything on paper, it's like it really should have, but it just didn't. It just didn't work for me specifically, and that's okay. Sometimes it's just not gonna click. Even looking back in retrospect, I just didn't feel like I had a wonderful, pleasurable experience while reading it. I love when I can look back on some of my favorite books of all time. Like there's just moments I can remember reading it and it just felt good to do the physical act of reading it. And this one I just have no attachment to, unfortunately. I liked the first half of the book so much more. When we got to the Bacchanalian mountain scene, not even second half of the book, I would say the last quarter, the narrative really shifted from being an internalized festering, this like bubbling on the edge of your seat, like what is happening? Thoughts are sliding into reality. You don't know what's real or not, and you're just getting glimmers of like tablecloth and fingernails and these microscopic views, and then all of a sudden what was internalized is now starting to creep into the exterior and creep into our protagonist's actions. That's when the book really shifted for me personally. I mean, it shifted as well. Things are entering the real world, and what our protagonist's thoughts are going to impact his actions. And with that, I just didn't particularly like the trajectory of this. I don't like how it transitioned from this gauzy imagination to truly like a violent and sexual narrative. It does turn violent and it does turn sexual, and that's why I was so surprised by it, by how these different thoughts and ideas like ended up manifesting into something so off-putting to me personally. And I'm like, dang man, I didn't want to read about that. Not really my favorite subject. I'm not a romance reader, and I'm not a smut reader. As soon as they start like mentioning these certain topics, I usually get put off personally. I'm a little standoffish and like I'm a prude sometimes, you know, and I think that's okay if your book goes somewhere that you didn't think it would. I don't want to necessarily spoil anything specific with this, but yeah, I feel like it really should have been a 5-star read for me, or it really should have been a 4-star read. Based on just my own personal enjoyment, nothing else, this would be like maybe a 2 or a 3-star read for me personally. But how it's written and the characters and intention, as well as the different philosophical elements, you know, I think that this is a wonderful little lily pad if you're interested in existentialism. I feel like this would be a good hop, skip, jump as you explore. I get it. and I understand it, and I think it is incredibly well done, and I do highly recommend it. Yeah, I'm just very surprised that it just didn't work for me. I'm so surprised. But in thinking about this book and dissecting it and talking about it in depth, the weight of meaning is so palpable in this, because it does manifest as thought and then slowly turns into these like micro actions that then turn into a bigger situation, and to the point where other people can notice that you've implied meaning on certain things. And I think that is really cool. This is a book that I think sparks thought and conversation, and when I can talk about meaning in this way, ooh, I get really excited about it, honestly. I can talk about this all day long, and I love that. I love that this was a stepping stone. This was a lily pad into having these conversations, and I think for me, being able to have a platform like this where I'm able to really dissect these books like is such a wonderful treat, because I feel like if I didn't verbalize my thoughts on this, like I would have just closed this book and moved on to the next. And I think in talking about them, I really am able to parse out my thoughts and realize how valuable this book was to me. Even though I didn't fully enjoy it, even though I didn't fully love it, I came away with so many wonderful thoughts and conversations that will hopefully inspire my future thoughts, my future writing, my future life, and hopefully inspire you as well in some microscopic way. And I think that is truly the most beautiful thing. I think that's what keeps me tied to BookTube, even if I take breaks and I don't post all the time. It's something that I think inspires more good than not. At least I hope so. I hope so. So that's Cosmos. I feel like if I don't end it here, I'm going to continue talking about it and spiraling in my own thoughts and just regurgitating things I've already talked about. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it if you read it, if you pick it up, if you've read it. Would love to talk about it, because I am withholding information because I don't want to spoil things. That's the hardest part about this. I did start Princess Jellyfish. I did start it the night I last updated you all, and I'm still not near done. I'm like halfway, basically. I'm not really liking this. I'm really surprised. So this is by Akiko Higashimura. I read her manga, Tokyo Tarareba Girls. I loved Tokyo Tarareba Girls. This was published in 2009, and this follows our protagonist, Tsukimi. I should have looked it up beforehand, I apologize. And she is obsessed with jellyfish. She lives in Tokyo, and she lives in a house full of other women who have obsessions with things and objects and people. One of her roommates loves trains. The other one is obsessed with a certain TV show. They're outcasts, they're nerds, they're geeks. I've learned a lot about different verbiage in Japanese that describes these characters that I've never heard of before. They're not interested in relationships or quote unquote feminine interests. They really look down on people who are interested in makeup or fashion or relationships. Yeah, it feels of a time. It feels like when I was in middle school, I was like, stupid popular girls only like clothes. It feels very dated in that sense. That feels like if I read this and I didn't know when it was published, I'd be like, yes, this was published between 2006 and 2009, because that mentality was really going around. Like, I'm not like other girls. So they call anyone who is dressed up a stylish, and they're like, oh, a stylish, and they're horrified by them and hate them with a very strong passion. They also don't allow any boys or men into their house, and basically say that if a boy or a man were to be invited into their home, like, they wish death upon them. It's pretty intense, it's pretty dramatic. I'm trying to take this with more levity and take it a little bit more like hee hee ha ha, but it's been so hard to get into this. This book is steeped with a lot of Japanese references and definitions of words that I've never heard of before, so thankfully there is a glossary in the back, and I think this one is probably a little bit stronger if you're able to read it in its original language, because there's so many like plays on words, as well as using pronouns that we just don't have in the English language. So there are some things that just don't hit right, and it feels strange. I don't know if it's the translation, but a lot of things like don't really make sense. I'm not really understanding references. I am struggling to understand the motives of certain characters, and if I'm not able to understand a certain motive or meaning, and then it's hard to understand a character, which then definitely hinders my ability to connect with a character. So I'm gonna continue reading this. I mean, it's still a manga. The illustrations are beautiful. There's some gorgeous, absolutely stunning colored sections in here. Like, this is so beautiful. I love it. So I'm gonna power through, and I hope that my mind changes by the end. I am actually trying to be very intentional with my mindset while reading this. Like, don't take it too seriously. I think it is supposed to be funny. I'm just struggling to understand the humor, and that's totally fine. So again, another book that on paper I'm like, yes, it's a good book, but like, I just don't think it's working for me personally. And sometimes that's really hard. Sometimes I wish I could just like bop myself on the side of the head and be like, enjoy this. Have fun with it. Why are you not liking this? And it just goes down to our own personalities and tastes and what we grew up with and what we find meaning in. Oh, look at that. I did a full circle there. Okay, I think I have to end it here. I'm talking for so long. This has been such a chatty vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it though. I hope you like doing like some deep sea diving with me into these books and really parsing out thoughts. I hope you like it. I hope it was fun. I hope it brought you some sense of joy or inspiration in any little way. I just so appreciate you for being here. I truly hope that wherever you are in the world, you're doing well. I wish you absolutely the best. If you want to leave a comment but you don't know what to say, please let us know your book recommendation for spring or multiple book recommendations. I would love the comment section to be a place where people can find some inspiration for spring, this upcoming season. Get excited. If you don't want to leave us book recommendations, I completely understand. And if you want to leave just a string of some spring-like emojis, that would be amazing. It'd be so cute. I would do a tulip emoji and a bunny. That'd be so cute. But thank you all so incredibly much for being here, friends. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you all again very soon in my next video. Until then, stay cozy, my friends. Bye!